Hi y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Ronkat and I love to talk about travel, career, and general life tips. If this sounds like your jam, please make sure you subscribe to my channel for more content. In today's video, I will be talking about how I pick my travel destinations. There are so many places you can go to in this world, and sometimes deciding which one to go to can be a hard choice. Over time, I've managed to come up with a system that works for me and helps me to go to places that I actually enjoy. Now, of course, if I'm traveling with a group or if I'm traveling because of an occasion or because of, some specific reason, these rules don't necessarily apply. But this is what I generally do for leisure travel or solo travel. Now, what I used to do previously is that I used to travel at least once a quarter. And when I say travel, I mean like travel by air. So if I did like bus travel or whatever, I didn't really count that. I used to travel by air at least once a quarter. And the way I would do it is that I would do one trip within the US, one trip to the Caribbean or Mexico or South Central America. And then I would have one trip anywhere else. And then I would also do one trip a year to Nigeria. That has since changed. But for me, that was a really good way to make sure that I was getting out and challenging myself to travel. Now, when it comes to choosing your travel destination, I think the first thing you have to do is consider who you are. Consider what you want out of your trip. Consider what destinations can give that to you. And so this first question is really where a lot of the research comes in, right? Like if you know that you like hiking, then you ought to prioritize locations that have a lot of hiking. One of the things that I've done that usually helps me out to create a very, very short list is that I actually have a larger bucket list of travel destinations that I want to go to at some point in the future. And it's a very large list. And so for me, when I am thinking through the sort of trip that I want to take, how much time I have off from work, it usually helps me to kind of quickly figure out like which of these locations is feasible, which ones aren't. And then once I figure out which ones are feasible, then I start to really think more about, how much am I willing to spend? What do I specifically really, really want out of the trip, right? Do I want to do street food? Do I want to do more vacation? Do I want to do more gallivanting and sightseeing? So having the overall bucket list, like I mentioned, and then just like making the decision based on whatever my constraints are, I think has been very helpful in picking my travel destinations. The second thing that I usually do is that I typically don't go back to the same location twice. Like if I'm going back to a location again, it's either because I absolutely loved it or because I absolutely don't got no choice. Generally, I try not to go to the same location more than once, just because once again, for me, I feel that there are so many places in this world that we can explore, so many places that we can access, and I would like to see as many as I desire as possible. And so having that mindset that I don't go back to the same places over and over and over and over again, it really does help me to kind of branch out and challenge myself to find other places that I like, or other places that I may very well fall in love with. And my first point about research, one of the things that I mentioned is considering my constraints, right? And so when it comes to picking my travel destinations, I really do think a lot through the constraints that I might have. So does that mean that I would want to leave in the evening? Okay, what places are offering flights in the evening where either I'm arriving in the evening and can make use of it, or I arrive the next morning and can sleep on the plane? For me, it's important to kind of have that in mind and to try to maximize the trip. Hypothetically, if I had 5 days off of work, let's say 2 weekend days and 3 working days off of work to travel, and I really wanted to go to Bora Bora, but I also kind of wanted to go to Iceland, I would prioritize going to Iceland because it's a lot closer. The flight is going to be faster. I will have more time to actually enjoy my location. And this also ties in a little bit with budget and timing, in the sense that if you are trying to travel somewhere that's like peak season and it's going to be out of your budget, maybe that's not the right time to travel there. Maybe you need to find another time that you can go. Finally, another thing that I just like to consider is just the general like safety or health of the nation or place that you're going to. Some places with COVID, they might have COVID spikes, with Zika, with all these other different things that are going on. Just to be mindful of what's happening in that area so that you can be prepared. For me, that's really important. And that does factor in heavily to where I travel to. When they were doing the COVID restrictions for traveling into Europe, obviously that was off the table for a lot of people. So those are the things you also have to keep in mind. Anyways, these are just some of the quick tips that I have for picking my travel destinations. I hope they were helpful. Let me know down in the comments how you pick your travel destinations. As always, please make sure to like this video, share with others, and subscribe to my channel for more travel, career, and general life topics. See you next time.